Last time on Dragon Ball Z, the battle for the fate of the universe and beyond finally got underway when Boo arrived to Planet Fitness for a rematch with his spiky-haired Saiyan acquaintance. Ever want to savor the moment, Goku refrained from going full stop at the fight's introduction, getting a feel for the raw power of Kid Buu, whose fighting prowess he couldn't help but acknowledge. As unhinged as the bubble-yum bruiser was, his battle IQ was like nothing Goku had come across before. After narrowly dodging a number of close calls, Goku looked down upon Buu and resolved that if there was ever a time to go further beyond, it was now. Finally unveiling his Super Saiyan 3 transformation in front of an eager Vegeta who was waiting to see the match of the century in earnest. With all aces now seemingly being pulled, all that was left between Majin Buu and a universe of carnage was a monkey with spiky hair and a dream, and it was time to see if that would be enough to quell the appetite of the destroyer of worlds. Goku's post-transformation scrapbook Kid Buu continues to be an absolute feast for the eyes. After the two locked forearms in classic Z fashion, it was nothing but smoke from that point forward. My favorite part about Goku's offensive volley here at the beginning of the scrap is, well, besides the ludicrous screen shaking effect that makes every impact sound like a Ford F-150 crashing into a factory of cast iron pans, is when this man Goku yokes Buu up by his dangalang and starts kicking the life out of Buddy like those throwdowns that used to take place in the Jerry Springer show, only to have Buu hit the man with an Uno reverse and give him the Kakarot special, headbutting the super continuity back into Goku's skull before he makes some distance with a ki blast, and Buu rejuvenates and gives a new meaning to the term having your head up your ass. Once Goku got his mandatory one-liner off, Buu got back in his nostalgia bag and pulled out a maneuver he was all too happy to use back on Earth, turning himself into a solid gum cannonball and had Goku more pressed than I seen him in a minute after he took that first body check full throttle. If y'all were able to chill with me last episode, you already know how many flowers I gave to the artists and the animators responsible for making this Majin Buu scrap come to life in the anime. But I can't talk about this section without giving some love to Big Bro Toriyama Sensei for his masterful work in the Super Saiyan 3 Goku vs Kid Buu matchup either. I won't hold y'all, I low-key got a little emotional reading through this part, not only because it's near the climax representing the end of Z, but also because you could just see how much Toriyama had grown as an artist throughout his journey working on DBZ. Sensei Toriyama was already a masterful artist before his work on DBZ for sure, but when it came to writing action scenes, especially of the intensity that had become the norm in Z, from my understanding of interviews with the man, he would be the first one to tell you how difficult it was and how much it took out of him to draw raw, non-stop action panel after panel for the series. Despite his own exhaustion with the battle scenes though, in chapter 510 of the manga, he gave fans what can only be described as a feast for the senses if you're a shonen battlehead. There's so much to love in the artwork here, from the expert posing, the quality of the art for both Goku, Buu, and Vegeta. You could pick these panels apart all day and find something to appreciate about them the entire time. But what really stood out to me about this fight in particular is how Toriyama made you feel like you were watching an anime as you experienced the fight through his art. I'm a huge manga fan, but one thing that I've heard said on multiple occasions is how many fans, especially those coming from an anime background, have a hard time reading manga, battle manga in particular, because they feel like the fights don't hit the same as they do in the anime. While I don't 100% subscribe to this belief personally, I can feel the sentiment that I think it is a hell of a task to create an action scene that is able to capture the sense of motion and kinetic activity that can be observed in animation with just ink and paper. And that's what makes this fight with Buu such a triumph for me. The energy and sense of flow from one event to another that he found a way to capture in this fight is only capable for someone that has reached the highest level of their craft. At no point did I find myself confused about anything I saw on the page. Every action is perfectly readable, and the way he's able to direct your attention to exactly whatever on the page he wants you to look at is nothing less than witchcraft. So that endorsement I have of rewatching this fight in animation holds true for print as well. Damn fine job for all parties involved, and appreciate the GOAT for sending us off on such a high note despite all these damn fight scenes driving him up Corrin's tower by this point. Heading back into the world of animation though, as Goku continues his back and forth with Kid Buu and is gearing up for a Kamehameha to level the playing field, one of my favorite moments of the series pops up when our view is quite literally taken to hell as we see damn near every loser the Z Squad has ever body bagged watching the boxing match live on Twitch, wishing death on Kakarot worse than 50 Cent's Ops and Mini Men. Bruh, this is just so funny to me. This is literally some fan canon tier stuff that I would write, but now it's been immortalized in DBZ animation canon. You got that bum Goku beating a foot race back before Goku established the new Snake Way meta, glazing him up something crazy and just excited to be back on camera again for 2.5 seconds. And of course you got Frieza in the chat, racist as ever.
Nasty monkeys, the whole barrel of monkeys. You know, monkey see, monkey do.
Catch this, monkey! You're nothing but an overgrown monkey!
You monkey! How's he no good saying
dropping the M word with a hard R at the end, standing next to Birdman Sr. trying to convince everybody that the fight would have gone different if he didn't have the sun in his eye, his gout wasn't acting up, and his dog's girlfriend's laundry wasn't getting out the wash. Right next to him was Big Body Cell, who was looking for somebody to give him the dirty on just who the hell this little pink gremlin was, because he was running Goku's pockets crazier than he ever did, and Goku gave up fighting him. Bro, this about had tears in my eyes. Not only for the pettiness of it all and him shooting a stray at Goku any chance he can, but y'all know this dude Cell be walking around hell annoying the death out of everybody, repeating that story like your uncle who used to play varsity football back in the day. Hey, before y'all go to bed, did I tell y'all that time I ran Goku's pockets? Yeah, y'all know the one. That's that Goku. The very one that had the rest of y'all sharing this musty ass condo for the better part of 2 decades. But he got the entirety of the underworld ready to throw hands, but who gon' check him? Grotesque work. Then of course, who else should show up but little ass Babidi, getting in his shiesty promoter Don King bag, and was mad quick to let everybody know that his son down there is the one giving that problematic monkey to work. If they really trying to learn how to throw hands, look him up sometime. Buddy, a rat all the way to the end. You know how dedicated to the game you gotta be to still be lying through your teeth in the afterlife. Homie should be ashamed of himself, grown ass man. The best part of this was the punchline though, because after Homie's walking away feeling good that he finally established a little bit of clout amongst the Hellions, once he's out of earshot, he starts cursing Majin Buu's name and wishing that the high cholesterol gods to send his ass to hell too, so he can get put on that eternal diet plan. Felt like Babidi gonna be holding on to that grudge for the rest of his days. I know he had his arms in the air for that spirit bomb coming later when nobody was looking for sure. Getting back to the hands though, Goku decides that he really needs to stop sandbagging. Stances up for a Kamehameha and it hits the mark. But of course, this is Majin Buu we're dealing with, who has a permanent regen passive buff, so after a quick few seconds of pretending like that attack actually was a problem, it's back to monkey noises and violence as him and Goku continue to fight. And on the sidelines, as Vegeta is watching the 2 circus chimps take turns biting chunks out of each other's skin, he has the epiphany of a lifetime, leading to again one of my favorite scenes, the Vegeta #1 speech. Homies, it can't be understated how important the context around who Vegeta is to really have a full appreciation for this moment. We've seen Vegeta's growth as a character dating all the way back to turning tail and hopping in Teslas on Earth and doing war crimes on Namek, to Oscar-worthy botches in the Android and Cell Saga, to where we are now. We've seen it start as a bloodthirsty and high-key traumatized warrior on the payroll of a tyrant he was too scared and too weak to stand up to where he stands now, as one of the top warriors not only on Earth or planet Vegeta, but within the universe and beyond. But despite this strength he had amassed and the development he experienced, he couldn't help shake the belief that he was always just one step behind Goku. There have even been points in the series where Vegeta was objectively stronger than Goku, but despite this, he couldn't get rid of this feeling of jealousy or like there was something he was missing that Goku seemed to have. Something intangible he just couldn't quite put his finger on. And this speech right here is finally the moment where he realizes what has separated them all this time, and where I feel like his character truly turned a corner when it comes to making it past that plateau that's had him stuck all this time. As Vegeta observed, initially he thought it was just a matter of friends and family. He thought Goku's secret was that age-old shonen trope of having loved ones and people to look after, giving him a power boost that elevated his intensity past the selfish desires of his rivals, who were only concerned with pleasure and titles. But as the Earth softened him up, Vegeta too came to know of these things, and as much as he loved his annoying-ass family, there was still a gap between him and Kakarot. So what was it? If family and friends and being a protector wasn't the secret sauce, then what was? It took Vegeta years of literal torture of body and mind to get to this place, but he finally came to realize that it wasn't about genetics, amount of work, family, or any of those things he had been made to believe his whole life that made Goku different. It was the clown's mindset. At their cores, the very reason they laced up and put on the gloves were fundamentally different, and this is what kept the divide between them. As he describes, Vegeta for so long fought for purely egoistic reasons. He took pleasure from being stronger than others, from being superior, from being able to take the lives of his opponents on a whim just because he could. But after years of fighting side by side, both with and against Goku, he began to understand something that we touched on back in the Cell Saga when the homie was in the hyperbolic time chamber. Goku doesn't fight to be better than others. He doesn't even fight to win. The dude fights for the sheer love of the game. He loves finding strong people to test his limits against, finding a new obstacle to sharpen his sword and get better with step by step. And that's the reason why Goku was so quick to spare villains whom others would have considered not worth saving. It's not out of a heroic sense of duty or stupidity. It's because of homie's nature. If he kills someone for the hell of it, he just destroyed a potential rival who could have developed further and may have been crucial to helping him grow as a person. I won't get super deep into it here, but But in a lot of ways, Goku embodies so many of the pillars of Zen as well as Buddhist philosophy. It's actually kind of wild and makes me wonder how deliberate this was on Toriyama's part, or if it's just a natural part of the cultural upbringing that he has and the way he views the world. Goku on a really fundamental level seems to understand that everyone and everything in the world is connected, and that by taking life for malicious or selfish purposes, he's in the end only harming himself. And this knowledge informs every aspect of his character, leading to his hesitance to destroy even the most evil seeming of villains because his mind is largely free of these sorts of judgments. And I think it's what pisses people off about him or makes him so incomprehensible to so many other characters in the series or even in the audience. The homie has a low-key, very enlightened worldview that's beyond the traditional understanding of the basic human good guy, bad guy understanding of how things operate, which leads to a lot of folks seeing him as naive or maybe even somewhat cognitively impaired, when in reality, the dude is just built different and sees through the matrix. But back to the homie Vegeta, this realization finally hits home for him and culminates in him accepting Goku as the ultimate number one. And what I love about this is by finally admitting to himself that he does take a backseat to Goku, at least for right now. What he saw back in the day as the greatest form of weakness will likely be the thing that finally lets him overcome that mental block he had all this time and work towards the same freedom Goku has and being able to enjoy the fight for what it is rather than bringing all that baggage into it. But this right here leads me to a quick aside I have to make when it comes to Super. I feel like Vegeta got done wild bad in Super when it comes to character growth. Instead of continuing the arc of character development we see post Kid Buu, where he's accepted the hierarchy and can now train in peace without worrying about comparing himself to anyone else, Vegeta seems to have slid down the ladder of maturity like 30 notches, damn near constantly griping about how he won't let Goku get ahead of him and how he refuses to see Kakarot as a superior. Out of all the weird character dynamics in Super, it's this one that's the most jarring to me, because it feels like we just took what was an absolutely crucial character building moment for a foundational character in the series and just decided to retcon it, and we as the audience are supposed to react like we got hit with that beam in Men in Black and just don't remember it. I'm gonna come off my soapbox because we have a series to finish, but I just had to get that off my chest because it bothers me a lot. It makes me look at a lot of Vegeta moments in that series somewhat sideways. But back in the fight, Buu decides he's feeling extra grimy and launches a damn Kamehameha wave at Goku out of nowhere like he did back in the day when he was a good 250 pounds heavier. Goku tanks it, and as Buu begins smiling thinking that he just obliterated this fellow with his own move, out of the smoke comes a blast that leads Buu to having to recalibrate his encryption while Goku spits on the floor and tells Buddy that's what an OG's Kamehameha looks like. Vegeta, with his new leaf turned over, approaches Kakarot with a new view. "Look, clown, cut the games. Played rock, paper, scissors for it, and we both know in real life you never planned to give me a turn. We know exactly what this asshole would do to me if I hopped in the squared octagon with him, and I'm man enough to admit that now. So how about you go ahead, power up for the one time and finish this off, so I can go cry in my wife's cleavage and finally get that number for the BetterHelp therapist. I think I'm ready to heal." Goku looks over and is like, "Damn, buddy, I don't know what happened in the last 10 minutes. That's a character arc and a half if I've ever seen it. Only problem is, I'm not actually sandbagging this time. I've been trying to melt this dude in real life at least since you saw me transform, and I just can't do it." Vegeta almost lost his lunch. "Yeah, I kind of realized I would need to power up for like a good minute before I have enough juice to take him out. Dang, we really should have kept those Potara earrings, huh?" If there was a list of things the Prince of All Sorrow didn't want Kakarot to say at that moment, he may have just touched upon every single one. As Buu regenerated nearby and began twerking in anticipation of the next round, Vegeta realized there was only one thing left to try. "Damn it, Kakarot, fine, I'll give you your minute." "Huh? Don't me. I told you I'll give you a minute, so you'll get your damn minute." "Wow, Vegeta, I appreciate the thought, but I don't think you—" "Are you calling me soft, Kakarot?" Goku immediately began to realize that maybe the character development wasn't as all-encompassing as he thought. No, not at all. I'm just saying that this dude is a demon, like actually not okay levels of strength. And no offense, but you're already a ghost. Do you know what happens when you die when you're already dead? At that point, it's a wrap. You just stop being a thing. Dragon Balls wouldn't even be able to get you out of that one. Damn it, I get it. But at this point, we're thoroughly out of options. I'll be damned if the Prince of All Saiyans couldn't manage to hold off this monstrosity for a single measly minute. The Prince of All Saiyans could in fact not hold off this monstrosity for a measly minute. Majin Buu had Vegeta looking like that one meme of the dude with the boxing gloves talking about, damn, the manifestation of pure evil got hands. The Prince of All Humblings had an inkling of just how awful Majin Buu's power was, but as he sought to buy his rival turned friend into making some time, he gained a whole new respect on just exactly the type of stones it must have taken for Kakarot to square up with this mongrel for as long as he did. And as Vegeta caught himself in a record scratch freeze frame moment as Buu choked him out with his tail, gagging the life out of him in front of the last creature on earth he would ever want to see him in such a sorry state, a foreign voice in the sidelines bubbled up, declaring war on Majin Buu. No longer able to just sit idly by and watch the carnage, the people's champ decided it was time to take matters into his own hands and have a heart-to-heart or maybe fist-to-fist with his old companion. And here, with the birth of a new hero, is where we'll call it. Tune in next time as Vegeta and Satan continue to work to buy Goku the time he needs to finish things off. But something's wrong. No matter how much Goku tries, he just can't seem to muster the power necessary to end things. Will he be able to figure out what's wrong in time to save what's left of the universe from Boo's carnage? Or has the galaxy's savior been pushed too far past his limit, with only dire consequences left to unfold? Only one way to find out. Be easy, y'all. Catch you again in the next video.